G'day, Wombat here, and today on Past Glory we're going to take a look at the HB30 from Washburn Guitars. Market for a hollow body guitar, but the latest hollow bodies on the market are a bit out of your price range, or you don't really want to part with that much cash, perhaps second-hand instrument is the way for you to go. So today, that's exactly what we're looking at, a second-hand hollow body guitar. This one, the HB30, comes from Washburn Guitars. Now Washburn are really quite well known for heavy metal style of guitars or hard rock style guitars. They're not really a company you think of when you think about a hollow body or bluesy or jazzy style guitars. They're really not. They do have a range of them. This is a model that they don't make anymore. They do make other models. They have a HB35 available these days, but the HB30 they actually don't do anymore. So we're going to have a look at it and see if it's any good. So as you can see, it looks like a fairly traditional hollow body guitar, really nothing out of the ordinary there. The body is maple, and it is hollow with a center block down the middle here that the pickups and the bridge are bolted onto. That's also maple. The idea of that is it helps to stop some of the feedback that you get at higher volumes with this style of a guitar. The neck itself is also maple. As you can see, it's a beautiful piece of maple. If we can have a look at the body, I'm not sure how the camera's picking that up, but it is it's quite pretty. It's not flame maple by any stretch of the imagination, but it's got some nice grain to it. It looks quite nice. You'll notice that the neck is slightly finished differently to the body. The body is quite glossy. The neck is a little more it's not really satin, it's more of a semi-gloss, I guess is the way to call it. And that's, I guess, a design factor from Washburn to help you get around the neck a bit better, because as we all know, those high gloss necks can get a little sticky when things start getting sweaty. It has Grover tuners on it, which is just phenomenal for the price of this thing. Really surprised the fact that it has Grover tuners. The fingerboard is rosewood, as you can imagine. It's a fairly standard sort of fare for this kind of guitar. The neck is bound, of course, as well as the body, as you can probably see there on the body. It is bound. So all in all, it's a fairly standard kind of fare for a hollow body guitar. Nothing out of the ordinary, which is, I guess, what they're looking at going for. You know, standard controls, three-way selector switch, 2 volumes, 2 tones, just the kind of thing that you would expect. And, you know, most people are going to be looking at a Washburn hollow body because they want other brands but can't afford it. So, you know, this was a more budget-conscious instrument compared to some of the higher-end brands to start with. The pickups. Now the pickups are really interesting. They're a Chinese-made pickup, and they're quite unusual in this kind of guitar. We have the 621 in the neck and the 623 in the bridge. These things are really quite hot. I throw everything at these things. If you've watched any of my videos, you'll already know I throw blues at these things and clean and metal, and I throw everything. Hollow body makes no difference. I'm going to do that. So clean wise, they were not bad, not too bad. okay. Not particularly inspiring, but not bad. But things started getting interesting when we started going to a blues tone. My usual blues tone became a rock tone with these pickups. I mean, these pickups pushed it that hard. So that was really interesting. So it was okay for a hot rod blues tone, I suppose, but it really just pushed it more than I personally would like out of a blues style of instrument. The rock tone that I would normally use ends up being a hard rock breaching kind of metal tone. I mean, these pickups are really, really hot. They're so hot that they really they cope with the metal distortion really quite well. Not necessarily my first choice of pickup for a stage guitar, but it did the job. It handled them quite well. I was absolutely phenomenally surprised at how much distortion these pickups would take. In fact, the interesting thing with these pickups is, back in the day when Dimebag Darrell left Dean Guitars and was sponsored by Washburn for a couple of years, the Dime Slime guitar that they produced for him, when they sold those to the public in the early days, these were the same pickups that they put in that. So that gives you an idea of just how hot these pickups are when they're appearing in a Dimebag Darrell guitar. They've got plenty of poke. For me personally, too much poke for a guitar like this. If I'm looking at a guitar like this, I'm thinking, you know, I want jazzy, bluesy kind of tone, that sort of thing. And these things were just a bit too hot for me for that. So that was kind of a letdown. The guitar itself plays beautifully. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. The neck was nice. It's got a good bit of girth to it, but it's not overly thick. We're not talking like a 50s Les Paul neck or anything like that. But it feels really good. It's probably a U neck. It feels good in the hand, never gets too chunky, but there is a bit of chunk there that's going to help with some of the sustain and things like that your neck material often helps you with. So in that regard, fantastic. The neck was easy to get around. It played beautifully. It is a big sounding guitar, big and airy, which I guess is what you want out of a hollow body guitar. You know, that's its tonal characteristic. The pickups themselves being super hot, I thought might hide some of that, but it really didn't. It actually did let the guitar shine through, even though they were quite so hot. So it is really, really quite a nice guitar. Personally, if it was mine, I would change the pickups. There's been a couple of modifications made to this particular example. As I said, it is a second-hand instrument. It used to have a pick guard, which, as you can see by the little telltale hole by the neck there, has been removed at some point. Not that it looks bad without it. You get more timbre and you get to see the F hole a little nicer. Also, whoever's owned this has changed the truss rod cover for one that really doesn't quite fit properly. So that's something that goes against it slightly. They've also retrofitted another strap button on the back here, mostly because this one really just won't tighten down properly anymore. It's a bit run through. So, you really want to put these things on a strap, I suppose. So there's a couple of little modifications made to it, but you've got to expect that sometimes with a second-hand instrument. That's what happens. So let's talk about price. So if you're looking at something like this and you don't want to spend too much, recommended retail on these when they were brand new, I could only find the price in US dollars, and that was 500 US dollars, which in Australia equates to somewhere around about 680 in today's money, Australian dollars, which isn't too bad. It's not what we'd call a budget instrument here on the channel by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not going overboard. I certainly would cut underneath a lot of the Gibson stuff in this kind of a guitar and make it comparable and compatible with some of the Epiphone versions of these guitars. These days, second-hand, there's not a lot of them flying about. If you go into the Washburn forums, people really still quite like these. So they're hanging on to them a little bit. 300 Australian dollars was the highest price I could find on one of these second hand. You wouldn't want to go any further than that. This is about from what I could make out, about a 2007 model. So you wouldn't want to go more than say 300 on this. If you could get a little bit cheaper, would be even better. But it really is a good guitar, and it gives you that big airy sound, which is exactly what you're looking for. So for me, change the pickups and you're on a bit of a winner here. It's not bad. I mean, you know, Grover tuners and yeah, a nice playing neck. You can't really go too wrong. So there you are, the HB30 from Washburn. If you're in the market for a hollow body and you can find one of these, give it a play because it's worth a look at. All right, so that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share the video if you want to help me out. That would be fantastic. And as always, rock on, guys.
Thank you.